And we are back once again with another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we review all things related to horror. Horror movies, horror TV shows, horror comic books, regular old horror books, absolutely anything and everything that has to do with horror. And you know why? Because we love it. Because we love that shit. That's right, Billy. But around here, around this part, there's a special type of horror that we love. And that's horror that has to do with the Catholic Church. Demonic possession. The occult. Witches and such. We also like zombies, but at the very least, I don't like the ones that run fast. I prefer the slow-walking zombies, the ones that are like, I'm gonna eat your brains. Oh, look at me, I'm a zombie, brains. Wow, Billy, you got a zombie impersonation now? Well, I figured it could add some elements to the show if I did impersonations of other creepy things. But we don't like the fast-walking zombies. Okay. I like it. Creepy ghosts and shit. Anyway, welcome back. If this is your first time on listening to this show, we thank you for being here. Thank you so much for joining us. 1 second here. My producer's telling me I have to mention some stuff. Look for us on the old socials at Rick's Horror on Instagram, and soon to be on the old TikToks. And I don't have a handle for that yet, but we will. You're gonna do a TikToks? Yeah, I have some really, actually, you know how I've been telling you that I've been waiting? I have some ideas for the old YouTube. So, by the way, the YouTube's now has the podcast uploaded. It's not any different than you'd get at Google Podcast or Apple Podcast or Spotify. We're on all of those, by the way. But you can also listen to us there as well if you'd like. If you prefer the old YouTubes versus anything else, go listen to us there. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I have some cool ideas, but I don't think they're YouTube worthy. Maybe shorts or something like that. But I have some ideas for the old TikTok. We don't have a handle yet, but I think, we're gonna start creating some content for that because oh, my producer's telling me something again. 1 second. What's that? Oh, okay, got it. No, he was just telling me I'm doing a tremendous job. Anyway, yeah, we'll have some content on the old TikTok soon, but again, if you're new, thanks for joining us. Follow us at Rick's Horror and let us know if you enjoy some reviews more than others. Do you enjoy a particular type of horror movie more than others? Would you like to hear that? Tell me if I haven't reviewed a genre of films that you'd love to hear us review. We've done several genres, but I think we still haven't done sci-fi horror, definitely. We've done found footage horror. We've done several slashers now. It's crazy for somebody who doesn't really like slashers. We do a lot of slashers, don't we? Well, I think you've done horror comedy, which happen to be slashers, so maybe just a serious slasher. Maybe just a serious slasher is next. This Thanksgiving one is, again, and actually I haven't mentioned this, but anyway, let me continue welcoming the audience. If you have something out there that you think should be reviewed or you'd love for us to review, let us know at Rick's Horror at the old Instagrams on the socials. All right? Anyway, if you're an old listener, welcome back. We really appreciate you being here. And same goes for you. If there's something that you'd like for us to review, or, a specific subgenre of horror that you'd like for us to take a gander at, then let us know. We'd love to do that too. Anyway, this is a very special episode, Billy. I know you were going to say that, but you don't know why it's special. Well, you said they are special because every day is special. That's absolutely right. But this one is super special because this is our first episode that we are not going to spoil. And the reason for that is because I feel, and by the way, I haven't mentioned this before, but this is about the movie Thanksgiving, which just came out. And I don't think most folks have not had an opportunity to watch this film. And I just think it's fair because Thanksgiving holiday is coming up next week here in the States. It's on Thursday. I saw it this weekend already. I'm going to give some folks the opportunity to take a look at that film and enjoy it before they listen to the review. So this is going to be the first ever spoiler-free review in the history of Rick's Rated R horror movie review show. So we're not going to spoil much. There's going to be some stuff about the story they will just sprinkle in there, but we're not going to talk. We ain't going to have. You need to do your breathing exercises. Ow now, brown cow, unique New York. Thank you. We're not going to spoil the story. Unfortunately, that also means no awesome reinterpretation of the stories or a script accurate review. Shawing. We'll do that maybe later once the movie's been out for a couple months if people are interested in that. But for now, I thought it would be cool just to do a spoiler-free review and talk about some stuff, introduce some new segments to the show, and maybe expand on an existing one. So without further ado, if you're new around here, we have a very simple show format. Okay. First and foremost, I give historical content to the film. Then I like to talk about the things that I like. And then I talk about the things that I don't like. Then I used to do a plot review and script accurate interpretations of the film. We're not going to do that for this episode. Instead, we are going to ponder and answer the question, is this a slasher fan's slasher? Meaning, would a fan of slasher films enjoy this film? We'll answer that coming up. And then we'll also discuss whether or not a non-slasher fan like this. And as a non-slasher fan, I can definitely give my opinion on that. And then we'll give this film a review. We'll give this film a rating and let you be on your merry way to doing other things. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The historical content. Now, this film, again, without spoiling anything, takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts. But you said you weren't gonna spoil anything. I'm not. I'm just telling you where the film takes place. The film is called Thanksgiving. What does it have to do with Thanksgiving? Well, that's what I'm getting at with the historical content. That's why I thought this was important, Billy. I see where you're going with this. That's not really spoiling there. You're just kind of, well, I'm in the segment. It's called historical content. Oh, Lord, I'm just going to start talking. That's okay, Billy. Okay, historical content. So the film takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Now, Plymouth, Massachusetts is no ordinary town. Plymouth, Massachusetts is known, if you don't know this, if you don't remember your American history from elementary school, or you never paid attention. Or maybe you're one of our many listeners outside of the U.S. Maybe this is a little bit of a history lesson about the U.S. Plymouth is famously known as the landing site of the Mayflower ship that came over from England and brought the Pilgrims in 1620 from Europe to America. Now, Plymouth Rock is located at Plymouth Memorial State Park, and it's often considered a symbol of the foundation of the United States as a modern country. Of course, the United States did not exist yet. America was Native American territory, but the United States did not exist. And so there's also, though, I must say, the whole idea of whether or not Plymouth Rock is the actual location of this landing site is a little bit of a subject of debate, but we're not going to debate that here. We're going to take it as a factual statement. Maybe we could debate that in some episode. What do you think? Well, I mean, we're not really a historical debate show, but I mean, why not? Sure, why not add it to one of the episodes? By the way, I have a really cool idea for other episodes. So we can review other other movies that are not necessarily horror. You want to hear the title? Yeah. Welcome to the first ever episode of Rick's Other Movie Review Show, Rick's Rated R Other Movie Review Show, where we review all things not related to horror. Not horror movies. Are you really gonna say that? I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Well, it's definitely called Rick's Other Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Other Movie Review Show, where we will review all things not related to horror. Anyway, Plymouth Rock. Plymouth, Massachusetts, known as America's hometown. Did you know that, Billy? Hold on, give me a microsecond. Yeah, I knew that. Well, you learn so fast. It's crazy. And of course, the America hometown name stems from its role in American history as being the first pilgrim colony. And it has deep historical roots, and as there should be, an ongoing effort to preserve it and celebrate the heritage. And, this all contributes to its hometown moniker. What I find interesting about this is the fact that this town is still considered a small town, isn't it? I think so, yeah. It never grew into a giant metropolis like, say, New York or Pennsylvania or those places, right? Yeah, that's definitely fascinating. Okay. The Thanksgiving tradition origins. We're touching on things. Remember, we're reading a spoiler-free review of the Thanksgiving, spoiler-free preview for those who haven't seen it, really. Thanksgiving tradition origins. Plymouth is believed to be the site of this. The first Thanksgiving feast may or may not have happened in 1621. And it started as a harvest celebration shared between the native Wampanoag tribe and the immigrant pilgrims. And this event is often considered as what we might, we like to call it the first Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. And this happened in 1621. Pilgrims came over in 1620. We had our first Thanksgiving in 1621. And I want to talk a little bit about the Wampanoag tribe because they had an important role in Plymouth colony. Now, they were the tribe that was already in what is now Massachusetts. That was their land. And while there's many important and cultural significance things, they are very culturally significant and important, obviously. Their interactions are mostly, or rather, we know them mostly for their interactions with pilgrims who again came over from Europe in 1620. But they're really important, right? Not just because they were there before, but the way they welcomed the pilgrims in 1620. Now, if we're to believe that this feast happened in 1621 and that everybody's on a good accord, then we're also to believe that they are the ones that also helped the pilgrims survive their first winters. And in 1621, as I just mentioned, they had that very first Thanksgiving. So the pilgrims came over and the Wampanoag opened them, at the very least, with as open arms as we can possibly imagine for the events that happened back then. And then they celebrated the first Thanksgiving. And then it all went downhill after that. But we're not going to talk about King George's War. Okay, so let's jump into the things I liked. Now, this film is grounded in reality. The motivations for the killer, and if you don't know this by now, I don't think I'm spoiling anything here, Billy. I think you must tread lightly. Yeah, I'm not spoiling anything. This film is grounded in reality, meaning the motivation for why the film's antagonist is doing the things that he's doing or she's doing or they're doing are very much grounded in reality. They are not like motivated by some weird shit that nobody can relate with. It was very much something that anybody can relate to, I think. The second thing I liked was the first act. I really, really enjoyed the first act. I must say this. Wholeheartedly enjoyed the first act. It was funny, it was serious, it was gruesome. It was really exciting, actually. I was really, really psyched for the rest of the film in the first act. And again, I speak as a non-slasher fan. But now, moving on to the things I didn't like. The ending. Oh, Lord, the ending. Oh, Lordy, 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 Lordy. That's all I say. The tropes. Oh my goodness, the tropes. No, less tropes, please. I think what happens here, if I may be so bold, and by the way, I'm gonna I'd like to make a statement here. Billy? What can I do for you? I told you this was gonna be a very special episode. I am anointing myself a slasherologist today. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick, the slasherologist and demonologist. Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. Well, Ed and Lorraine had a couple of books in their old library. I have the power of the internet. The tropes, my goodness. Oh, I was going to say, I think what I don't like about slasher films is what makes slasher films great. Isn't that weird? I mean, no, what you like, what you don't like might be something somebody else really loves, right? I mean, it's totally normal. Yeah. So I've realized that the things that I don't like about a slasher film are actually what people really like in slasher films. So it's really fascinating. The trope. So things I didn't like. The amount of tropes. All right. And that's it. Let's move on. As I said, this is a new segment. And this one is called, Is It a Slashers Fan's Slasher? Sponsored by no one. And the short answer is yes, it is a slasher fan slasher. So if you're a slasher fan, then this is for you. You'll love this film, I think. Why? The tropes I just mentioned. The masked killer. Many and most slasher films that are worth anything have a villain who wears a mask or who has some kind of disfigured face, which helps to, keep their identity a secret or depersonalize the killer and, add an element of mystery and, of course, terror, right? Something like Michael Myers in Halloween or Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, right? The final girl trope, of course, there must be a final girl. And this, of course, if you don't know, this is the last woman that stays alive and confronts the killer at the end of the film. Typically portrayed as an innocent yet extremely resourceful and many times virtuous, or more virtuous than her often teens. And she survives due to her purity or cleverness or both. Examples of this character, of course, famously, Laurie Strode in Halloween, Sidney Prescott in Scream, of course. And these are classic examples of the final girl, probably some of the best known examples. If you're out there listening to this, and if I didn't name one that you think is also important, let me know at Rick's Instagram. Just satisfying my producer's needs. Oh, okay. Producers are tough. They can be. Anyway, teen victims. Slasher films often focus on teenagers or young adults as the primary victims, and this movie, in fact, does that. The characters are usually, portrayed as engaging in behaviors considered taboo, drinking or using drugs, or God forbid having premarital sex, which of course often is, explicitly or implicitly framed as a reason for them being targeted by the killer. And, I'm not going to detail the motivations for them killings, but teens are definitely the victim. Of course, another important trope, the isolated setting. The settings of these slasher films are often isolated or in closed spaces, or the characters, the teens, are often cut off from the outside world. And this can include, summer camps or like Friday the 13th. Remote houses like Cabin in the Woods, or maybe even entire towns. That trope is present. So you have now the masked killer, the final girl, the teen victim, the isolated setting, all of these tropes that are, primordial elements for a slasher, important ingredients. Yeah, you can say important ingredients. All so far, yes, it's here. Point of view shots. The filmmaker sometimes or often uses a first-person camera perspective to represent the killer's point of view, creating, I think, a sense of suspense or even voyeurism, right? It's really weird. That element, I don't think was in it. So if you're really into POV shots of the filmmakers, I don't recall that trope being present, but I don't recall. Maybe it is, maybe I missed it. Definitely creative kills, another trope of these films. Slasher films are definitely known for their inventive and definitely graphic depictions of murder, sometimes comical. But this creativity and shock value of these scenes are, I think a significant draw for this genre. People want to see this shit. So definitely creative kills in Thanksgiving. Jump scares. Now, as I said this before, I am not susceptible to the jump scare. I don't know why. Call it a gift. Maybe it's because I'm a demonologist slash slasherologist. What do you think about that? Oh, Lord. The sudden and unexpected event designed to startle you, the audience, are staples of slasher films. You must have it, right? Yeah, I mean, I am no slasherologist like you, but I definitely think they need to be in the film. Otherwise, it's kind of dull. Well, these moments are often accompanied by loud and shocking noises, right? So the jump scares, check, they're in this film. And of course, probably the trope that I find to be the worst. It's probably the best of the slasher films, the goddamn invincible killer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Roderick Usher from our review of the House of Usher, Fall of House of Usher. Mr. Usher, thanks for joining us. You're goddamn right. You gotta have a goddamn invincible killer in these films. Otherwise, they're worth shit. Like Ligadone without me. Without me, there would be no Ligadone. The Roderick Usher Empire and the Ligadone Empire exist because of me. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Roderick Usher. You're goddamn right. I'll hang around here for a little longer if you need me. The invincible killer, the creature, the human being with the superhuman powers and superhuman strength, superhuman speed, omnipotent, omnipresent, godlike. In slasher films, these killers seem, impossible to kill. Often surviving situations that, would be fatal to a normal person. This trope, of course, contributes to the killer's menacing presence and often, unfortunately for me, leads to sequels. But fortunately for you as a slasher fan, congratulations. And I would say the things I don't want. No, another thing that I personally don't enjoy, but it's a must trope in these films, is a mystery element. A mystery element that incorporates the old whodunit, right? Sort of a little bit of a murder mystery, kind of. But the character, the audience is trying to figure out the identity of the killer. And I hate it. If you love that because you're a slasher fan, this is this is for you. This film was made for you. And of course, the motivation, the revenge, the killer has a motive. Why? What happened? There's a link to past trauma or a desire for revenge, which is, of course, must be revealed as a key plot point. Otherwise, it's not a slasher. That's here for you. So out of all of these, I think the only one that I didn't capture was the point of view. And there's maybe there's more, but this is, considering I'm a slasherologist, there aren't any more. I'm kidding. If you feel like there's other elements that I missed out, let me know at Rick's Horror, at the old Instagram. These tropes exist in this film, and because of this, I think you, as a slasher fan, you'll enjoy this slasher. So yes, is it a slasher fan slasher? Yes, it is. Okay, moving on. Would a non-slasher fan like this film? I don't think so. I think this film is catered to fans of the genre. If you're just, if you are a horror film, but just kind of, like more of a supernatural feel with the witches or the occult or the demons or the zombies or other kind of shit, you're probably not going to like this. I don't want to give anything away about this film other than I personally am not a slasher fan. I don't know how many times I've said this. I mean, you've said it a lot. There have been slashers that I find funny and interesting, and I wouldn't say once and again, but I could say that was a good movie, or I liked it enough. But I gotta say, as somebody who isn't in general a fan of a pure slasher, I think this is a pure slasher, I don't think you'd like it. So I think we answered all the questions, right, Billy? Yeah, I think all of the questions have been answered. I think the only thing that is left to do is give the film a rating. Okay. As a non-slasher fan, after mentioning that this is designed from the ground up for those who are slasher fans, as a non-slasher fan, I am going to say I appreciated the first act, as I just mentioned. I appreciated Well, the cinematography is really well done. The setting was phenomenal. The acting was also great. But as a non-slasher fan, I can only give this film a 4 out of 10. A 4 out of 10 because there are many things I like about this film. But again, I'm not a fan of these films. I saw it because I know you do. The only thing I have to say is go watch it. Make up your own opinion. That's mine. And that's it. Oh, look, that's it. Well, I mean, we're not going to do, again, it's spoiler free. I can't go into retelling you how the story went. Ah, that's right. If you are new, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you, and we hope you'll come back for another exciting episode of Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show. If you're not new, welcome back, and I'll see you again soon. Good night.